19 games in a row. What does it take to come back after losing 19 games in a row? That was the question facing Optic Gaming with their trip to the Spring Major and their season on the line. So, what does it take to overcome impossible odds? Coming into the North American Spring Invitational, the final event of the RLCS regular season, our main characters, Optic Gaming and FaZe Clan, were at opposite ends of the conversation. After struggling for the majority of the season, Optic had come into the Spring Split looking like a new, revitalized team. Comprised of Reddles, AJ, and Magic Bear, Optic would come out with a shocking performance in the Spring Open, running through some top North American teams all the way to a third place finish. They would follow this up in the Spring Cup with another successful showing, finishing in the top 6. Although this event left a bit of a sour taste in the mouth of both Optic players and fans, as after a solid start, it would end up being swept in back-to-back series to be eliminated from the tournament, once by version 1 in the upper semifinals, and again by FaZe Clan in the lower quarterfinals. Concern was growing for Optic when it came to best of 7s, as going back to their final match of the Spring Open, they had dropped 4 straight games to Gen G. 4 more consecutive losses in best of 7s in the Spring Cup had now left Optic with 12 straight overall. At the conclusion of the Spring Cup, this was a stat line that wasn't really talked about. With the top 5 teams securing spots at the Spring Major, Optic was in a fantastic position to make it on through. But the struggles in best of 7s will soon grow to play a major role in this story. Then you have FaZe Clan, made up of First Killer, Sypical, and Mist. This team finished 2nd at the Winter Major, and they were looking to use the Spring Split to atone for the mistakes they made against Carmine Corp in Los Angeles. Unfortunately, they did the opposite. They came into the Spring Open as flat as possible, winning only a single match before falling into the lower bracket and being swept out of the tournament by G2, finishing in 9th to 12th. Definitely not the start that FaZe had envisioned, but with it only being the first regional, they set their eyes on bouncing back in the Spring Cup. And bounce back, they did. After falling to the lower bracket early once again, FaZe put their heads down and plowed their way through that lower bracket, taking down tough team after tough team in dominant fashion. Their run brought them all the way to the Grand Finals, where they were finally cut down by version 1. Despite the loss in the finals, this result was exactly what FaZe Clan needed. They had given themselves a chance to qualify for the Spring Major through the Spring Invitational. Going into the all-important final event of the regular season, Optic Gaming and FaZe Clan found themselves neck and neck in the standings, fighting for one of the 5 major spots. As the North American Spring Invitational kicked off, none of the North American spots for the Spring Major had been secured. Everything still hung in the balance. For many teams, there was still everything to play for. A shocking result in Day 1 would make the road a little easier, as version 1 plummeted from their first place position all the way to basically being out of major contention, by falling to Koi in their first match before being knocked out of the tournament by Complexity. Optic would seemingly take advantage of this opportunity as they pushed through Day 1, finding themselves once again in the upper semi-finals, and setting themselves up perfectly to qualify for the Spring Major. FaZe also had a predictable start to the Invitational, as they found themselves in the exact same spot they had been in both the Spring Open and the Spring Cup. Down in the lower bracket early, forced to fight through for every point they can get. At the conclusion of day 1, only Space Station Gaming had clinched their spot at the Major, which meant there were only 4 spots left up for grabs, one of which was occupied by a team that had already been eliminated in version 1. So there was a lot on the line heading into day 2. Day 2 began with huge wins from both Gen G and FaZe in the lower bracket. This officially eliminated version 1 from major contention, and added more pressure onto the teams that were currently holding the top 5 positions. The teams outside of the top 5 were going to keep fighting with everything they had, so you wanted to claim your own major spot as soon as you could. Back in the upper bracket, Optic had their own destiny in their hands. Their path to the major was simple: win a single match and they were through. This task began against a pumped-up Space Station Gaming team, and this is when the reality of Optic's struggles in best of 7s really started to show itself. This series is one Optic would like to forget.
You know, everyone wants to talk about Hoxter, and everyone has been.
Oh, he's getting pumped.
And LJ's thinking, though. He got the 50 off the bar, and it goes in. Hoxter will make sure of it. Oh, Metals went for that boost. That gave a little bit of space to Hoxter, and LJ goes in. Though, great chance to hold this lead. Get into this series. AJ missed the ball. How can you expect to save a laser on the backboard? Now up by 1. Optic in danger of going down 0-3, and I don't gotta tell any of y'all about what happens when it's 0-3 for a team, and what is very unlikely to happen. But still, Space Station, they have control of the thirds. LJ, control of the ball! LJ, control of the green wall!
16 games in a row. Optic had now lost 16 games in a row in best of 7 series, going back to the Spring Open. 4 to Gen G, 4 to version 1, 4 to FaZe Clan, and now 4 to Space Station. A streak that they couldn't seem to get off their mind, regardless of how hard they tried not to think about it. This loss to Space Station sent Optic plummeting into the lower bracket, where they would meet a familiar foe in FaZe Clan. The stage was now set for Optic and FaZe. The situation was simple: win this one best of 7, and you are through to the major. Lose, and you no longer control your own destiny, and may be kissing your major chances goodbye. For both teams, the pressure was immense. On one side, Optic Gaming, a team that had a fantastic start to the spring split, and after fighting so hard to get to the position they were in, to fall at the final hurdle would be absolutely heartbreaking. On the other side, FaZe Clan, a team that many claim to be the best in North America, and to some, the best in the world, led by the player that many consider to be the best in the world in First Killer, the runner-up at the Winter Major. For them not to make the Spring Major seemed out of the realm of possibility in everyone's mind. Many other North American teams watched on with their fates hanging in the balance with this match as well. A FaZe win would knock Gen G out of major contention after they had lost to G2 in the lower bracket. An Optic win would secure a major spot for Furia and set up a potential tiebreaker between Gen G and FaZe. It all came down to one series, and it would begin in the worst way possible for Optic Gaming.
That wasn't the best ball out of First Killer, but that got away from AJ. Magic Bear can't jump for it, didn't have the angle, and it's a comedy of errors on either side that finally results in First Killer breaking the scoreless deadlock. They are not playing up to their usual standards in this particular game. Wide open net, Mist will score, Optic have fallen apart.
Optic can overcome things here, but they have to prove it within themselves. One of the biggest things, though, stop is typical. Great flip reset, and it'll go in.
Down to 14 seconds, and first killer missed the dagger. Typical, he can't put it away, but Mist can with 8 seconds left.
After Game 2, many people expected Optic to call their timeout, to attempt to right a ship that was quickly sinking. However, Optic decided that they had seen enough improvement from Game 1 to Game 2 that they believed they knew what they needed to do to be able to take down FaZe Clan in Game 3 and beyond. There were signs of life in Game 3. Unfortunately, all it was signs.
Read on the play from Mist. He's moving upfield trying to disrupt as well. Typical had a lane. Now it's first killer with the ball. Demo on the play. Reynolds doesn't have any boost. Right off the respawn, Typical on top of the ball. He's going to get a goal from that.
There's Mist high above everybody else. I mean, FaZe Clan have won the aerial game, but AJ along the ground got the steal.
40 seconds left in Game 3. You lose this, you go on match point in a lower bracket round against FaZe Clan. Almost impossible to come back from, but AJ keeps it going. And Optic are trying to make things work. That's a big demo! Missed! It's an OT!
Down 0-3. Optic's chance to qualify for the major and their chance to keep their season alive were quickly vanishing. They finally called their timeout, but was it too little, too late? At this point, Optic had lost 19 games in a row in best of 7s, a streak that is absolutely ridiculous to think about, and something they would need to erase from their mind if they didn't want to carry a -20 streak with them into the offseason. This was going to be the most important timeout in the career of all 3 Optic players. For Reynolds, AJ, and Magic Bear, this extra minute with their coach Greg was all that separated them from having to do the unthinkable task of not only stopping the 19-game losing streak, but then following that up with a full reverse sweep of FaZe Clan in a best of 7. In the history of North American Rocket League, only 2 reverse sweeps have ever been pulled off in best of 7s. But just like every reverse sweep, it happens one step at a time. And it begins with the first step.
So now AJ out of the corner. He's just going to run forward and let Reynolds try and bring it across. And it's working well enough. AJ running forward, going after Mist, got him! And Magic Bear scores! Couldn't get back onto it quickly, like Garrett G, so now Typical will try. He got through Magic Bear, but AJ unfazed by it. Now in numbers advantage, Mist has to get around Reynolds, he can't, and AJ scores! And it's Magic Bear putting this away, no! Reynolds will try, on target but saved. Now AJ, back to the backboard. Optic have to be real careful not to overextend. AJ will bring it down to ground, and Optic Gaming finally get a win.
They had done it. They had conquered the demons of the massive losing streak and had turned 19 losses in a row into a single win. Now all they needed to do was start a different streak, a streak of wins. A win streak that only needed to reach 4 games in a row against one of the best teams in the world. Step 1 was finished, it was on to Step 2.
Maybe intended for Reynolds, but he was too far forward. Now Magic Bear trying to beat the defense, and he has! He beat first killer on the half flip, and Magic Bear gives Optic another lead.
Now, those trying to get some demos upfield, which actually creating some space. He actually got a piece that's typical, who's awkward. Magic with the fake, and Magic with the goal!
AJ wide open, and he puts it away.
They are gonna go to game number 6 in Neo Tokyo, as again, they are fighting for their lives here, fighting for their major run against FaZe Clan.
2 games down, 2 to go. Momentum was slowly swinging to the side of Optic. FaZe players began to seem a little uneasy in the player camps, and with the second Optic win, FaZe had seen enough. Optic had now forced FaZe to use their timeout, something that just a few games ago, seemed like FaZe was never going to have to do. Now, going into Game 6, all of the action would be left on the field. Either FaZe would utilize the timeout buff to shut down Optic, or FaZe would find themselves in the unenviable position of having to fend off a reverse sweep in one final game. Thus began one of the craziest games in Rocket League history.
FaZe Clan still fighting tooth and nail, but they took a hit that caused them to take pause. AJ not taking pause though, he's taking it all the way to the net.
Took first with him. Magic Bear circling around. Now Reynolds got a demo on
whoa.
This is still dangerously close, and Reynolds gets on the board.
Gotta be careful, FaZe can hit him with a counter here. Here's Mist, who tried to wrap it around AJ. It's a good 50 and even a better follow-up from Reynolds to slow things down. He's trying to get a flip reset, he bumps it! But the fact that they've already picked up a 3-goal lead this early in the game on FaZe, after they called a timeout, this team was leading 3-0 in the series. Now they're down 4-0 in Game 6. It's another goal for Optic.
Shortly after, FaZe Clan would get themselves on the board, despite a disconnect from First Killer. And after a brief technical pause, the conclusion of this game was pandemonium.
First Killer is going to try to see if he can get going too in the final minute. Gets to Mist, and they got one.
You give them a lot less time to capitalize.
Right. Play it out. Sip with the shot. Sip with the goal.
And it's First Killer up the wall. Oh, barely slowed down by Magic Bear. Sipical almost tied it. Somebody's going to get in the air. They don't. Sipical ties it.
Somehow, despite having a 4-goal lead halfway through the game, Optic found themselves under the immense pressure of holding off what might be the most embarrassing loss of their careers in overtime. And FaZe was doing all they could to get Optic to crack under that pressure.
Reynolds here will try to bring things upfield. Sense of urgency for Optic Gaming, but if they get too antsy, Mist can be the one to end it. Dunk there, but it bounces off the back wall. Sip with a light touch, looking for a follow-up. AJ's there to deny. First Killer's even trying to keep this in play. Mist with the shot, and AJ with the block. FaZe hit the house and it came up empty.
Reynolds dropped down towards AJ, and that might break them free. It's only Magic Bear at the back. First Killer pinch went high. Follow-up, floating. And AJ saved it with Magic Bear helpless on the goal line. AJ will get this over Mist. Magic Bear breaches the center line, but it's only a brief reprieve. Maybe it's exactly what they needed.
Optic refused to go down quietly, and somehow they found the strength to hold out for as long as they needed to cash in on one mistake from FaZe Clan.
And now FaZe will have possession once again.
It looked like maybe if they'd bumped Sipical, it was a wide open net.
They bumped each other.
Now nobody's back. Magic Bear, cherry picker, and we're going to Game 7.
Against all odds, our story now reaches its climax on Champions Field. From down 0-3 to a tied series, Optic had fought back all the way. This series would soon become known as one of the greatest comebacks in Rocket League history, or one of the biggest wastes of time we had ever seen. Game 7 did not disappoint.
And Magic Bear can circle around on this, but he can't get past to AJ directly. They'll have to use the walls. It's wide open, but AJ couldn't get out of the way.
Surely, you gotta close it out, right? Or is on the side of FaZe Clan just too much power as First Killer forces his way through for the first goal? Able to recover things and slow things down as things in this game are slowed down, but wait a second, Mist!
But now they can start downfield again. And it's Reynolds with Magic Bear running forward. Nothing doing just yet, though, with Mist with the initial stop. Magic Bear thought about it. Now he's got to try and recover with First Killer having a dead direct, and he picked him apart. Follow-up corralled by Reynolds. Good first and second. Touch to set up AJ. Back and forth like a heavyweight fight.
So close to Magic was bearing down on that ball. Ball of freedom. Magic, the bear! He's got it! Optic in the lead!
Just as entertaining as watching this, just to peel back the curtain for a moment, we can see the reactions of all the others waiting to go on the desk, and they're just beside themselves.
Despite making mistakes, Optic still found themselves in the lead. All it would take now would be for them to hold on. But as we saw in Game 6, no lead is safe, and holding on is much easier said than done.
We had 2 last season in North America. We're about to have a third unless Typical has got something to say about it. And now First Killer given all the time in the world again. Now Reynolds will close out. AJ ahead. Can Miss catch up? No, he can't. And the lead is back to 2. Oh, it's just wide and wide open again. Typical refuses to die.
7 seconds. That was all that was between Optic Gaming and one of the biggest comebacks in Rocket League history. Reynolds had been here before. He had felt the heartbreak of giving up a lead from a kickoff with barely any time left at the Spring Major last season, and Optic was going to do everything they could to ensure that didn't happen again.
One more kickoff.
8 goals for Typical. Gonna need a 9th. But it goes off of Typical and stays in Optic territory. All hands on deck defensively for OG. It's Typical over towards First Killer. Was not too strong. Reynolds will spike it. And Optic Gaming completes the 3rd North American reverse sweep.
Optic had done it. Not only did they get over their own mental blocks, but they overcame the massive pressure of the situation to create one of the most magical moments Rocket League has ever seen. Optic would go on to knock G2 Esports out of major contention as well, before finally falling to Space Station. But they had done what they had set out to do. They had secured their place at the major, and had overcome impossible odds to do it. Optic's win also set up a tiebreaker between FaZe and Gen G for the final major spot, which Gen G went on to win, knocking FaZe Clan out completely. So not only did this improbable story secure Optic's spot at the major, they also secured the spot for Furia and created an avenue for Gen G to get in as well. Optic had lost 19 games in a row in best of 7s, but all it took was one win, and all of a sudden, -19 became +4, and one of the most unforgettable moments in Rocket League. My name is Horizon. If you enjoyed, please consider clicking that subscribe button. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys. And if you're looking for some more Rocket League entertainment, I might recommend checking out this playlist right here for some RLCS replay analysis. Or check out this video over here to see what Rocket League would look like with a pick and ban phase.